Jen and Tammy back with a woolly mug mat for July. Tammy, this series is zooming along.
It really is.
Look at these amazing
beautiful
projects. We're having so much fun. I know you're having.
I'm having a lot of fun.
A lot of fun because she gets to plan all the stitches and do all the fun detail work off to the left side of the mat. This is our woolly mug rugs. I have to think about this every time that we had for July, and that was really fun. Of course, that kit makes two. Those are still available. And the woolly mug mat, that's a single product, makes one because it's larger. I love that the mug fits here and it's not covering up the applique. And it sits, the cup sits nice and flat.
That's right.
If you actually use that. If you're new to the series, as you can see, we started this. This is our fifth project in a series of 12, one for every single month. Be sure to go to the Shabby Fabrics homepage. At the very bottom, there's a link that says free downloads. Click that. You're looking for the woolly mug mat, and we started with, that was in March. That was in March, and that would have come out in the month of February.
February, correct.
We're always going to bring those to you the month ahead of time, so you have time to make it. In the very first month, we went into great detail about how to use the light box, the applique pressing sheet, and how to kind of pre-assemble the applique units and bring them on to the oval. And then it's just easier to do it that way.
It is easier.
Than bringing pieces to the background one by one.
And trying to figure out where they go. Right.
So just a reminder, you'll be needing freezer paper for your oval. And we love that cut-right freezer paper because it's so heavy. This is one layer. Much thicker than what you would buy in a grocery store. The plus side of the grocery store stuff is it's so big.
That's true, so if you're doing a large project.
So I actually use that too, but I also have to double it up.
Correct.
So if you're using a smaller project, this is what you want. The cut-right freezer paper is super thick, and once you iron that down, you can take it back up. I mean, I've done it 12 times before I had.
We've done it for the whole series, and we just keep reusing the same freezer paper. It's amazing.
So you'll just iron that down. The shiny side is going to be down, and that's the part that temporarily kind of tacks to the actual wool, and you'll cut out two of those. One's going to be for the top, and one will be for the back.
Correct.
So we like to do that so that we cover up the stitching, and it's all kind of secured into the middle. You'll be using a fusible applique product. We like Heat and Bond Light for tracing our shapes. Once you download your 2 pages for the woolly mug mat for July, one is going to be your tracing diagram, and all of those shapes are reversed for fusible applique.
Yeah.
You'll be using your Heat and Bond Light for that tracing, and as you would expect, you'll roughly cut around the shape, iron that to the back side of the wool. If there is a back side, some wools do. We're finding more wools have that.
That's right.
Most though, there is kind of no detectable right or wrong side. Roughly cut. Once you roughly cut around and iron that to the back side of the wool, if there is a back side, that's when you'll cut out on the line, and you'll begin to use your assembly diagram, your layout diagram actually, the light box and the applique pressing sheet, just to pre-assemble those units and move them onto the background. If that's completely new to you, again, go back to the woolly mug mat for the month of March, and we go into great detail. So once we've got that done, Tammy, and we've brought that onto the background, I know we're going to do the whip stitch. And
we're going to whip stitch it. That's right.
Talk us through that process.
Very good. So I'm going to use one of these little number 22 chenille needles that we've got, and the size 12 cotton thread from Sulky.
Okay.
And we just whip stitched it down, and you can just see my little stitches all over here, how we whip stitch that by hand. Now, if you're thinking, there's no way I'm going to do this by hand, I want to use a machine on that, you can do that with this thread. But you're going to want to use a size 100 needle, and we recommend this Super Stick. The non-stick needles, they just glide right through the wool, and the fusible, no problem.
Right.
Love that. Right. Okay, they don't gum up your needle. Right. Okay, so once you have that down, then you're ready to do the fun part.
Right.
And that is the embellishing stitches.
I
We love that part. I know. It's the play time here. So this is your embellishing thread set. We have 4 threads this month in this thread set, a white, a red, a gold, and a blue. We always have our black available. It's not included in your kit because then if you were to buy every thread set, you'd have 12 blacks.
Right.
So it's always available, and this is just the Eleganza Easy Black. and you'll find that right on our website just to buy if you want to pick up a spool of that. Okay, some of the other things that I have here, I have a friction pen for marking my dots on light wool, and I really like a Mark Be Gone pen to mark my oval width.
Yep.
And also I will use this, my freezer paper template, to mark this. You could also use a little ruler.
Okay, let's see here. If
I had a Shabby ruler, yep.
Yeah, I've got one of these. We can use that one today.
Work?
That works too.
This will work too,
sure.
Yep. And so this one I measured in about 1/2 inch, and you can do that, and you just start measuring at 1/2 inch, mark it, just move your ruler around, and you're just going to make little dots.
That is a nice way to do it with the ruler.
Yeah.
It kind of just arcs around.
Sure. Right as you go. The other thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to mark a start and stop place. I always find that helpful because I tend to just keep on stitching. It's like, whoa, where are you going? I'm going way too far, and I don't want to have to rip out my stitches.
No.
So I'm going to, no.
I like to sew, not unsew.
I like to sew, not
Give me a
unsew.
thumbs up if you agree with that one.
Exactly. I agree with you right there. No unsewing. So I'm going to mark my start and stop. This pen, you can see that I'm marking it, but you don't see it. It kind of has to dry a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of
then
appears
the marks
after,
come up.
what, 4 or 5 seconds?
Yep,
Okay.
About that. So then I'm just going to connect our lines together, just like this.
And the line, this mark is not permanent, so
No,
I know,
this
like the
comes out.
micron pen, like we do to trace on
Oh, that's
lines,
going to be there forever.
It's forever.
Yes, that's
the friction
correct.
can erase with heat, and you like to erase
Heat,
that with,
or if you can't get it out with heat, just spritz it with a little bit of water,
Okay.
and it comes right out.
Great.
Yeah,
Good
no
to
problem.
know. Okay.
No problem. All right, so once we have our line on there like this, we're going to, I love this stitch. This was a lot of fun. I wanted a red, white, and blue stitch for our July one, and I wanted it to sparkle a little bit. So we're going to lay down a base stitch with the white thread, and that's going to be a back stitch, and then we're going to thread it through with the red on one side and the blue on the other.
Oh, how fun.
Isn't that cool?
Yes.
So it's really a fun stitch to do. So I want to show that to you. I have needles here. I already have one threaded with our white thread, and I'm going to use that razzle thread to do this with. So we will begin a back stitch.
Okay.
Okay, so to begin a back stitch, I'm going to start 1/4 inch ahead of my line, my starting line, like this. I'm going to bring my thread to the front, and I'm going to go back to my start line, and then I'm going to jump forward 1/4 inch like this, and pull it through. And then I'm going to come back exactly where that stitch is and go forward again. So you're constantly moving this stitch backwards and then forwards. So back and forth. I love a back stitch. It just fills in so nicely. It just makes a really nice outline. Do a few more here because I want to get a few laid down so I can show you the threading. And all these stitches are detailed in the book. We're using the Embroidery Crazy Stitch book by Judith Montano. And the page numbers are on the download at the top if you want to follow along there. Okay, so I've got a few stitches here. We'll do another one. All right, so to finish this stitch, if I was at my very end, I would just simply take this to the back of my work, just like this. So then you've got all your stitches laid in a row. Okay, so now I'm going to take my red thread on my needle here, all right, and I want to come up right here next to this stitch, right here in the middle of the stitch, and you can either come up on the outside or the inside, it doesn't matter. Just pick one. We're going to come up on the outside here. So I'm right in the middle of that stitch right here. Now I'm going to use the back of my needle because I don't want to grab my thread with the tip, and I'm just going to slide this through the back like this. And I'm going to weave it back the other way, just like that. and back and forth. Just like that. Isn't that cool? So now, sometimes when you're weaving with thread, you might get stitches that aren't even. I'm going to show you how to fix that. To finish this, again, you would just take this right back down to the back of your work to finish it. But these stitches are loose. These stitches are loose, so I can use the back of my needle to pull these stitches up and give them dimension. You see that? I can move these stitches so that they're not set in there, they're movable, because I didn't catch my background when I went through. Okay? All right, so with my blue thread, when I come on, I started at the top with the red. I'm going to start at the bottom with the blue. So I'll come up on the bottom of that stitch in the middle, just like that. And then I'm just going to weave this thread again with the back of my needle. Under my white stitches is my guide. Back and forth, just like that. See, that one got a little long. This loop is a little bit long. So you can just adjust that by pulling your thread and just pull it back a little bit if you want that loop to lay there. Back and forth. This is so much fun. It's so relaxing just to sit and do this. And I love the look of the thread. I love the way it just glitters on there. Come back out of there. There we go. And back, just like that. That is so pretty. I just love that. Isn't that pretty how it just lays there? Okay. All right, so now we're going to mark this, and then we're going to do a gold star stitch on here, because I think it needs gold stars. Okay. So we're going to use our white marking pen again. And I'm just going to make a little mark here and another one out here, just so you know basically where you're going with this. You don't need, you can actually count, and I did that on the first one. I counted all the way around to make sure it was even, and I just bounced from here to here to here to here. So you can mark that if you like. Some people, nope, they're just going to go for it. I like to mark it because I want them to be even. Okay, so let's do a star stitch. So this is just a bunch of little stitches, or a bunch of long stitches actually. So my first stitch is going to be a cross. So we're going to come up just like that. And my next stitch is going to be a perfect cross. Just like that. Up and down. Okay, now I want to do my cross ones, and I want the legs on that a little bit longer. So I'm going to come out a little bit wider than I did before. We're going to come up at the top, like that. There we go. And again at the bottom. So I'm going to come in deeper like this, and come up to the top, higher, like this. Okay, now all these stitches are just kind of laying there. So what I like to do is I like to take a stitch in the center just to tack them all down. So just kind of move these threads out of the way, and I'm going to come up right here in the middle of this cross without splitting my thread. I just came up right next to it. I'm going to move these threads out of the way now where I want them. And I'm going to actually go right down, right on the other side of that, and tie that off. There we go. And it just kind of sets them all in there, just like that. So I would make more stars all the way around this, and then I also put my stars in the center of my flag, and a French knot for my sheep's eye. And that's all there is to it. So once we have our stitching complete, I would turn this upside down on a pressing mat and steam it.
Steam.
Go ahead and
Coming
go.
up.
do it. There you go.
I was afraid of using steam till I met you, Tammy.
Steam wool, it does just fine with steam. Gets all those stitches.
Yeah, it does.
Sit where you want them.
It does.
I love steam.
I do too.
Perfect. All right. Then we would take our backing.
Okay.
And lay this on here to cover all of our stitches. And I usually hold that in place with some Wonder Clips.
Yep, I've seen you do this.
I love little Wonder Clips. Yep. It's so much easier than pins.
Yes.
Because pins are going to poke you and they grab a hold of your thread as you're stitching. I'm just not a fan of pins. Yeah, Wonder Clips is definitely the way to go. And then you just do a blanket stitch around the outside edge.
Then you're all finished.
Yep, and you're finished.
Oh
and
my
you're
gosh.
ready to start the next one.
These are so cute.
This
And I know
one,
you're working
I love
on
them.
August.
I am.
Okay.
I am. It's
all
about
right.
done.
Well, we hope you're enjoying the series as much as we're
We
enjoying
definitely are.
designing it. You're picking stitches. We love to get feedback from you. So we will see you for the woolly mug mat for August. See you then.